Now here are 12 things you probably don't know about politics, but you should. Number 1. The big differences between both parties is that Democratic leaders care more about people, Republican leaders care more about people with money. Democrat senator passing a bill for health care. This bill will make sure that all Americans have affordable health care, housing, food, and other resources that they struggle to get themselves. After the speech. Thank you, Senator. Because of you and the Democrats, my daughter can now get the operation she desperately needs. Republican senator passing a bill to cut regulation.
This bill will cut regulations to allow corporations to hire more people and build the biggest economy in the world.
After the speech.
You think they bought it? Which part? America has been the biggest economy in the world for the last 100 years. Look, who cares? You're still getting $1 million for your super PAC. Plus a bonus, since you just saved my client $10 million in federal regulation costs every year. They've decided to pledge another $500,000 for next year's campaign. They saved $10 million. Yes, included transporting cost of their toxic waste out of town. Now they can dump it closer to the housing community. It's okay though, I don't think they voted for you, anyway.
Number 2. Republicans are more politically aware than Democrats, even though the country has more liberal-minded people. Conservative News interviewing a conservative-minded person.
What do you think about the Supreme Court?
It all about guns, low taxes, and Supreme Court judges. Got to thank Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. He's been fighting for years to make this happen. I go to all the local town halls and rallies so I know who I'm voting for every election. Conservative News interviewing a liberal-minded person.
What do you think about the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court. Honestly, I don't know. Number 3. Conservatives, also known as Republicans, are usually older. Older people understand life and government more, but being old-fashioned usually means they don't like new technology, or change in general, as much. Change also means racial adjustment, which doesn't sit well with a lot of people in their party. Old-fashioned versus the tech store.
Hello, sir. It's my grandson's birthday, and I want to buy him one of those new phones.
You come to the right place. We have the best 5G phones around.
5G? I'm not paying $5,000 for a phone, Sonny.
You get unlimited talk and text, 50-megapixel camera with all the filters including instant background removal. You can share instantly too, with Twitter and Instagram. Also biometric monitoring, including heart rate.
I just wanted him to call me from Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am. It can do that too.
It can?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, I'll take it.
Number 4. Conservatives usually live out in rural areas, which means they can survive longer without civilization, which is the reason why they like the Second Amendment more, but want less taxes in government. Rural America.
What you up to, Jake?
Dang coyote got into my fence again. I'm gonna get my guns and my camping gear, and go look for the sumbitch.
I'm coming with you. I'll get Pete and his dogs, help chase him down. You might bring a bottle of that whiskey, in case we're out there 2 or 3 days.
It's best we camp near Eagles Mountain, for the high ground, and fresh water.
5. Liberals and progressives, also known as Democrats, are usually younger. Some of them don't understand how government mainly works, and some don't care. This gives them a disadvantage understanding politicians, their policies, and why they should vote. Conservative News interviewing more liberal-minded people.
Today on the streets, we'll talk to some Democratic supporters to see how much they really know about their government. What is the Speaker of the House?
I would say my sister. She talks all the time. She talks too much.
What is the Speaker of the House?
I think both. They make the best House Speaker.
I'm talking about a person in government.
Oh, you got me on that one. Honestly, I don't know.
How many U.S. senators does California have?
Ooh,
California is a pretty big state. I would say at least 20.
About 7.
How many U.S. senators does California have?
I think of 4.
Can you name them?
Nancy. I can't think of her last name.
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, that's her. Nancy Pelosi.
She's not a senator. She's Speaker of the House.
Didn't you already ask me that?
I'm back to you guys at the studio.
6. Liberals and progressives usually live in cities, which means they welcome government interaction and resources urban areas. Living close together makes them more sociable and understanding of different races, cultures, and religions. Urban America.
Amir, good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you as well. I didn't expect to see you catching the train though.
Yeah, I had a rough day so far. As I was headed to my apartment, find out the elevator is broken, so I had to walk up 20 flights of stairs. Then I get back downstairs to find out my car was towed out of nowhere. No time to call the tow company. I needed to get to work. So, I catch a bus, find out it's the wrong bus, catch another bus back home, but before the bus can get there, a guy jumps up out of his seat and says, "You all are alien demons from the planet Hell." Then he says, "You can't stop me," and starts dancing on the bus. The bus driver stops, waits for the cops, then everybody change buses. Finally, I get back home, realized I should have caught this train, because it's much faster and that's why I'm here.
Are you sure you're on the right train?
I hope so.
Actually, the same thing used to happen to me, a lot back home. The only real difference is that my story usually involved a donkey.
7. Conservatives have a big advantage when it comes to constitutional jurisdiction. Rural areas are 97% of the United States landmass, while urban areas are only 3%. But each state must have exactly 2 senators. Conservative rural states like Wyoming, with a population of 581,000, has the exact number of U.S. senators as California, a state with a population of 39 million people. Since each state has their own Senate and House of Representatives, conservatives easily gain more seats, because they're spread out, as opposed to liberals and progressives in urban areas, because they are more grouped and crammed in together. Looking at a map of the USA, and you can see the difference. Urban areas at 79% versus rural areas 21%. Now compare that to a map of the 2020 election with the Republicans in the red areas and Democrats in the blue area. This is the advantage the Republicans have in state governments as well as federal government. And if you go to the U.S. Census page, you'll also find out that almost 65% of the rural Americans live east of the Mississippi River. Investigate, research, learn yourself. 8. Because conservatives are old-fashioned, they like older technology, so they listen to the radio more and watch TV more than liberals and progressives, who favor social media for info on their phones and other devices. So, in other words, Fox News is number 1, because conservatives watch the news on TV more. Conservatives listen to pure radio much more than liberals and progressives. Old-fashioned TV and radio are their best communication devices in rural, low internet coverage areas. Plus, before Newsmax and OAN, Fox News was the only game and conservative news cable. Mainstream media outlets report and agree more with each other than conservative media, which also means they compete for the same audience. And because conservative favor TV and radio more, Fox News can have more cable viewers than any other news or show on cable. But CNN can have more social media subscribers and post, because younger people like technology. Back to rural America.
We've been up here 3 days now. I can't wait to get home, where it's warm, turn on the tube, and watch some Fox News.
Well, I brought my radio. We can listen to all kinds of conservative talk shows. Hell, I found out yesterday that they found 10,000 ballots from the 2020 election in China.
I missed that. We can listen to that right now.
Number 9. The reason Hollywood like Democrats more than Republicans is because they win awards portraying bad corrupt boss and officials in character, so they're more understanding to liberals and progressives than conservatives.
Movie awards before Trump.
And congratulations.
for Best Actor of the Year for the movie Lie Like Crazy. Give it up, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. I want to thank their Academy for this award. As you know, I played a greedy businessman turned U.S. president who lied every day to the dirty he was doing while in office. He kept his multinational businesses while he was in office, and even put members of his immediate family in office. He did a bunch of hateful and dangerous stuff. But what was key was his deal with his supporters. He gave them whatever the hell they wanted for supporting him, and in return, they let him get away with whatever the hell he wanted. But what he mainly wanted was to just stay in power, like an authoritarian dictator. Now, of course, this couldn't happen to the United States, so I did some studying on Watergate, plus I spent almost a year in countries where they actually have authoritarian dictators, and learned how they manipulated their people. That's why I have to thank my advisors and all the people who supported me on this film. Thank you again.
10. The reason why scientists, tech companies, professors and doctors like Democrats is because they believe science more. Simple as that. The scientists are wrong about climate change. Scientists are wrong. Think. The scientists are wrong about climate change. The scientists weren't wrong about the TV screens or HD screens that people are watching me on right now, or the microphone that's carrying my voice. How did you get here today in a car? The scientist wasn't wrong about the gasoline that goes in that car. The scientists weren't wrong about the ability for airplanes to fly, or that the moon is only 250,000 miles away. Was the science wrong about the nuclear bomb, or that the radiation from it can kill you? From the plastic in your hands, to the processed food in your stomach, from light bulbs that help you see, to satellites in space that help us see everything else, scientists create our world. And for some reason, you think they're wrong about climate change. Exactly. Number 11. True, Democrats were the slave owners back in the days, and the most racist party, until people like Senator Barry Goldwater helped flip the policies of both parties. Both parties' policies completely flipped in the mid-60s, partly because Southern Democrats couldn't stop minorities from being elected, much less having the right to vote. This happened after civil rights, so when Republicans talk about the party of Lincoln, the Republicans flipped against minorities enough to make color barrier Jackie Robinson leave the Republican Party. Party of Lincoln, Party of Lincoln. And he's rolling over in his grave. Republicans always say, the Party of Lincoln, and the Democrats don't explain why Democrats now are more understanding to black people and other minorities than they were before civil rights in the mid-60s. Investigate, research, learn your damn self. And number 12. Both parties must debate each other in public, because eventually, someone will run out of lies. The truth can keep going and going. That's why they must debate each other in a real but civilized way. Mainstream media. The people over there at Conservative News are lying to you. Conservative media.
Those people over there at mainstream media are just lying to you.
And you'll never know until they start talking to each other again, instead of constantly preaching to their choir. Thank you. Communication, our best skill set. This ends this series. Next up is greed.